Today I'll be showing you how to modernize your Chevy HHR by installing a backup camera and hooking it up to your aftermarket stereo, with this being the final result. Let's get started. So the backup camera I got is the Pixelman backup camera PMD2A-S. It doesn't actually show the model number on the label here. So here's the camera itself. As you can see, it looks pretty neat. Then here is the 26-foot video cable that goes from the camera to the front stereo unit. This is the part that connects to the camera, then connects to that 26-foot cable. And then here is the ground and the positive, which connect to your reverse lamp. Got the bracket here, instructions, and we got the Nutter Butters. Can never go wrong with the Nutter Butters. So I have the backup cam attached to the license plate. There's like a bracket behind here, and got these two screws that just kind of hold the bracket in place. But it all depends on your backup cam. So now I got to get this wire wedged in between this little crack here. And the way I did it, I don't think you need to unscrew those bolts at all, or those screws. I unscrewed these two with like a T27 torque screwdriver, and what I try to do is I try to take this off, but this thing is just not budging, and I'm a little too afraid to just rip it off and break it. But I found that what you can do is you get maybe this here, and you can try and wedge this little thing in between, and with that you could kind of try and force it in. So that's what I'm going to try to do right now. We'll also need to remove this two-piece trim on the rear hatch. So this is all one piece, and then I've already taken this one off, but there's one piece right here. I would just say be careful, because I already broke a clip, as you can see here. I broke that clip right off. And I've got some super glue trying to fix it, but who knows if that'll even work. It's a bit difficult to get these clips out, but I would recommend one of these tools. It's like a trim tool, so that you can get some leverage and take these little pins out without breaking them. See, there's one all the way deep inside there that I'm going to try to remove right now. Eventually, after some struggle, you'll get it through there, and it'll come through a little crack here, if you can see that. And you'll just pull the rest of the slack through, and you'll attach it to the other wires with some electrical tape. And you'll get to this point. At that point, you'll want to use the snake to get it through here. Alright, so now I'm at this step. I have the wire up until this point. Now I need to bring this through this hole and down through here, all across to this point. And I'm gonna have to remove this panel too, so I'll just do that really quick. And then you'll see there, light. That is the reverse light that we'll be tapping into. And yeah, let me get this done really quick. I struggled for the longest time trying to put my snake through this hole, through this plastic part, when I realized you could just take this part off. You could put the snake through this hole, get it through the little crack, and attach your backup wire to your snake, put it through here, string it through, and then do the same thing through here with the snake. And yeah, just remember that you could easily take this part off, so just keep that in mind. And then with my snake, which is literally just a clothes hanger that I straightened out, I put it through that hole down to here, and I'm going to attach my wire to the snake and just pull it straight through. Now that we've got the two wires from the backup camera down here, as well as the RCA cable, we're going to want to attach these two wires to this backup light. So to do that, we're going to tap into the lines from the backup light. Green is positive and black is negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut these and then use butt connectors.
Before I continue, one issue that I encountered here was, okay, so your stereo unit harness, it has a reverse trigger wire, and that reverse trigger wire will connect up to usually to your data harness's trigger wire, which is like a purple with white stripe. And I did that at first, and it was like kind of working. It got up to like 3 volts, but then it would just immediately drop. So you would see a flash of the backup camera on your screen, but then it wouldn't appear. Like it would just go away instantly. So it wasn't like a constant voltage that the stereo unit was receiving. And what I had to do was connect another wire. Luckily, my RCA cable had a spare wire inside of it. So what I did was I connected that spare wire to my positives, so the red and green that are also connected up together in this case. So I connected it up to that, and then that obviously goes all the way up to the stereo, and then I connected that wire to my reverse trigger wire on the stereo harness. So that's just something to take into consideration or do. Okay, so now we'll want to connect the green positive from the reverse light and the red positive from the backup cam together. And if you're going to add that extra wire, you'll connect that up as well to those two wires, and you'll connect the negatives together as well in a butt connector.
Okay, now that we've got the relatively hard part of this installation done, now what we need to do is get this wire from the back all the way up to the front stereo. Now, don't mind that stereo, that will be replaced in another video. There are two methods to getting that wire from this side all the way to the front stereo. The first method is to have the wire go through, like say over here, like the trim line, going along the upper trim, like putting the wire through there, through the airbag, up along here, and then going that way. Down to here, and then following along on the trim, going through here, all the way to the stereo, right? So that's one method. That method, you have to go through the airbags. Now there's another method by, I think his name was Cheap Me 1850. He wrote a comment on this backup installation video by KG's Garage. And what Cheap Me 1850 did, did, his comments right here, by the way. What he did was he took the spare tire cover off. He took that storage compartment piece off as well, and he ran his wire basically under here, through here, down there, and then what he did was just put the wire through here. I'll have to move the seat down, and then follow the lower trim all the way up to the front. And that method definitely avoids the airbags. It's a much shorter run, and it should be easier, I want to say. And yeah, you just run along up here, maybe go through there or along this route so I can get to this point, go underneath the compartment box and to the stereo. So yeah, that method is the one I'm gonna use, so let's get started. And you got to take off the spare tire cover, because you can't take off this storage compartment without taking off the spare tire cover first. All right, and then you'll see inside. Let me put this chair down first. You'll see the inside of here. And you really just got to use some strength to take it out. That's it. Okay, so you attach your wire to your snake. You go through this little hole, angle it downwards towards here. Then you can grab your snake through this little crack, bring it through here. You're gonna have to like maneuver it through this little tight space. Then grab the wire and just string it through. You're gonna have to bring all that extra slack with you. I brought the wire through, down there, you can see it a little bit. And I've got all the slack here. So now I'm just gonna follow along the trim up until the front by tucking the wire underneath this trim right here. Now we have it up to this point. We just gotta bring this wire back there, and then go along the trim towards this rear end right here. To get to the back of our stereo unit, we'll have to take off this trim, unplug the 12-volt cigarette lighter, and unplug the rear window wipers. So I've got this trim tool that will help me take this off, and then for the stereo unit I have a 7mm socket that I'll use to take off the bolts. And for the cigarette lighter, it's just a little clip on the bottom of the cigarette lighter that you have to press down on, and you can easily take it out. And then for the rear window wipers, if they're here on your vehicle, then it's just another clip on the back of the plug. And then you don't need to unplug the passenger airbag or the warning lights. All you have to do is put it on your dashboard and just let it sit there. Now we've got the 7mm bolts. You need to take off the air conditioner bolts right here, but you don't need to actually take off this air conditioning unit to take out the stereo unit. It'll take a little bit of maneuvering, but all you need to do is take this out a little bit, the air conditioning part, and then push up. So that you can extract it just like that. I've already done the job of putting the RCA cable through this hole with the snake. And as I said earlier, my RCA cable luckily comes with a spare wire that you can use as your reverse signal wire. So that's what I used it for. So as you can see here, I used a Wago connector because I ran out of butt connectors. But I've got my reverse into my stereo unit, and I just connect that reverse trigger wire right into here. And then with the RCA cable, all you need to do is plug it into, probably won't be able to see it, but on the back of my stereo unit it says camera, and you just got to plug it into there. Now to test it, we're just gonna go into the accessory mode. No need to turn the ignition on. And we'll shift into reverse. And as you can see, the camera pops up. We shift out of reverse, it disappears. So the way I have it wired up is you can only see the rear camera when you shift into reverse. On some stereo units, you can see the rear camera whenever you want. I don't have it wired that way. I'll only see the rear camera when I shift into reverse. If you want to see the rear camera whenever you want, the way I would do it is I would splice into the accessory power that goes to the stereo, and I would bring that wire all the way back to where we hooked the rear view camera into the backup light. And instead of the rear view camera receiving power from the backup light, it would receive power from the accessory power from that wire that you brought back there. And doing it that way, you'd be able to see the rear camera whenever you want. I personally didn't really have a need to do that. If I ever have to, I'll probably revisit it and hook into the accessory power. But for right now, I just didn't need that functionality. But some people definitely do. So we got the rear view camera, functions just fine, and it seems to work. That will conclude this video. I'll catch you in the next one.